Atmospheric Avenger meteorologist Joe Bastardi here Saturday morning, in my Saturday morning garb. The weather never changes. Have my thinking cap on, folks. I'm telling you, mid-December, mid-January, look out that as soon as this pattern evolves the way the seasonal jet should evolve, things are really going to start popping. We've been in a step-down function, and we've been going down and up and down and up. And then as the jet strengthens fully, we'll stay in the down part of the temperature pattern across much of the United States, I think mid-December into mid-January. Now, let's take a look again. Let's review the Japanese model, okay? There's a lot of different models out, and the way I look at modeling is I I use them as tools, and I try to develop a running idea in my head. Where should the pattern go? And then see what the models are saying. Not just look at models and say, well, this is right, and that's right. Because after all, there's a lot of things going on. Now, the first thing that should jump out at people are the major troughs and the blocking, but that we have this trough that is anchored to the northwest of Hawaii with a ridge to the southeast of Hawaii. The ridge, when you get a ridge to the southeast of Hawaii like this, it favors a lot of warm air across the United States. And what happens is you generally see troughs progress into the western part of the United States. Now the Japanese week 2 begins to show all this beginning to break down. That ridge is pulling north, the trough is pulling northwestward, and by the time we get to week 3, it's a very different story. All that jet is coming across. This is the old week 3 and 4. What I want to do is compare it to the new week 2, and you see they look the same. So we get to the old week 3 and 4, and you see both of them look the same. That jet is coming across, but the mean center of the trough in the Pacific is pulling further and further northwest, and is now in a position to start pumping the ridge in Western Canada. When you get troughs near the Aleutians like this, they pump the ridge in Western Canada. So you see that going on. The model was starting to hint at that here, but was still in a transient position at that time. This was last week for this same period. Now let me see if I can erase that all that green I've got up there. All I got to do is there. Go on. See that? Now let's take a look at where the Japanese model went for week 3 and 4. And this was very different than the European weeklies. Now, look, the European is a great model and probably the best skill scoring model. But if you start taking a look, and over the past several years, I've been watching the models coming out of the Far East, specifically Japan and Korea, they are very, very good. And, the Japanese model really caught my attention 2 years ago when it caught the July heat wave way in front of the European. This was not this past July heat wave, the heat wave before. And I said, holy cow, because I remember looking at the European weeklies in June, and they were very cool into July, and the Japanese was just totally turned around, and it caught it. But in any case, this was in line with what the Korean model has been saying. And, the European had come out and said that, well, it wasn't that it was a warm pattern in December. It's just it wasn't anything outstanding. This is an outstanding pattern. And this is what the European, by the way, day 15 looks like this morning. It looks like this. So it is turned around quite a bit. What this is doing is, when you see all this ridging up in Alaska, it's just feeding Arctic air into this trough. This is like if someone wanted me to draw a coast-to-coast wild weather pattern, that's what I would draw. So we see the GFS this morning going right to that. And the European looks like this. All the blocking across the top, you see it? And you see all the troughiness. This supplies it. And look what's east of Hawaii now. See? You've got a trough to the east of Hawaii, and the ridge is northwest of Hawaii. So the pattern of the Pacific has changed totally. It's changed totally. Meanwhile, the brutality continues across Europe over here. And you see that the United States is getting ready to join in the fun and games in the extended period. Now, watch this. Mid-December to mid-January, okay? This is day 15 through 25, all right? So this takes us almost up to the Christmas time. This takes us Christmas, the temperature's Christmas, to about January 4th or 5th, and this takes us through the 14th. So you see the model predicting a month of cold, and you notice it warms it in the west, but it gets all that cold is right back in there almost to the plain. So this is, and if you notice, a weatherbell December forecast looks exactly like this. All right, with the cold uh, slanted in here, and we're saying that even with the warmth that's starting the month of December, because I think after the 10th it just all turns around. It may start even turning around between the 5th and the 10th. But you can see where this is going here, and in line with our forecast, they say, okay, well that's it. It's going to warm up after that. Not so fast. It's cool in the Gulf of Alaska over here in the case that you may relax it and then bring it right back in. But that's another story for another time. Let's try to fight the battle that is ahead of us first. Rest assured that I have my thinking cap on with this. We are looking at everything. We understand that there is a lot on this winter. Now we are cautiously cold this winter, and the strategery, I love that word. We can all thank the former president for that word. The strategery here is, look, we're going to be consistent. We've been consistent on that eastern cold and relative warmth in the west. Okay, cautiously cold, and then if I get the pitch, and I think I'm getting the pitch, okay, that I think the pitcher's going to throw, which is the atmosphere, then we swing for the fence. And you may find that the weather's going to swing from the fence from mid-January, or excuse me, mid-December to mid-January, okay? So let's keep on top of this, and as always, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.